home one day and reading the paper, and I saw a little article in the paper, and it was a clipping about the death of a man named Cy Berger. Cy Berger was 91 years old, and it told the story of how Cy Berger was the man who designed the baseball cards that we all grew up with. The poem's called Ode to Tops. And so when I saw that clipping, it was like getting in the time machine and just zipping back. And I was born in 1948, and I find that hard to believe. But so 50. But when he was designing those cards, I was just a kid, but those cards were part of my life. And then I just thought about how fast you go from 0 to 66, and all the things that happen. And I thought about how baseball and how baseball cards have been such an important part of so many people's lives, but that everything else was happening at the same time. And through that era, particularly, and the poem goes up until the 1960s, and it starts off with a reference to Jackie Robinson. And lately, I've begun to realize more than ever what an incredible man Jackie Robinson was, how courageous he was. Because we take a look around what's going on in the world today, and we see the reemergence of issues and attitudes that we really thought we were dealing with and were going away. And I think back to what Jackie Robinson did in 1947 and the way he was punished for that, and I just think it's extraordinary. So the poem's about baseball, but it's really about more than that, and there's a lot of shout-outs in here to people in history that have represented other people that really needed to be represented. Ode to Tops for Cy Berger, 1923-2014. Just a few years after Jackie crashed through the line like a fullback shedding helpless linebackers, when Campy and Nuke joined their thin ranks and helped save the star-crossed Dodgers, when northern cities were as segregated as lunch counters and drinking fountains in Dixie, when ordinary men were sealing away nightmare memories of Utah Beach and Iwo Jima in dark corners of their blue-collar brains, when D. White ruled the White House like a bald, benevolent grandfather, when Hammer and Hank and Say Hey Willie were poised to begin their assault on the all-white record books, Cy Berger sat at the kitchen table in his Alabama Avenue apartment in Brooklyn, designing modern baseball cards with a pair of scissors and a stack of cardboard. The design that would enchant young fans across the country for decades, not because of their monetary value, but because of the rich, imaginative lives they unlocked and the countless hours of pure pleasure they gave city kids like me on the long dog days of summer, while my home team kicked the ball around the diamond like a bum kicking a tin can across a vacant lot. When a nickel in our pockets and hope in our hearts, fleets of freckle-faced, dirty-necker Irish Catholic kids, sons of firemen, cops, milkmen, and lunchbox-toting factory workers, would jump on our one-speed bikes, pedal through steaming neighborhoods, on the way to oases like Nate's, the corner store at the end of a long row of narrow red brick houses, the kind of houses where you could hear the neighbors stomping around through the thin common wall. When Guinea Tea Jessie finally lost it, shouting like a Sicilian apostate, "Jesus Christ, Irene!" Kids scurrying for cover like bookies when the cops bust in. Nate's, where DC and Marvel comics lined the racks, penny candy glistened beneath glass counters, and Franny scooped black cherry and vanilla fudge double-decker cones for a quarter, where we would tumble in like little drunks, exchange our nickels for a shiny pack of Tops, dreaming of a Robin Roberts or a Richie Ashburn as we slowly peeled the wrapper away, stuffed the razor-sharp rectangle of double bubble into our dry mouths, rubbed the chalky pink residue between our expectant fingers, and prepared for our first disappointment. Remember, the first slick card, not Robin or Richie, but a no-name like Tom Snake Sturdivant, a 10-year, 16 journeyman who briefly tasted glory in the '56 World Series as a starter for the damn Yankees, shutting down Brooklyn in Game 4 when Mantle and Bauer went deep, the game no one remembers, the day before Larson's legendary gem. But hope springs eternal when you're 10. And one by one, you reveal the next image in the six-card pack, sometimes going 0 for 6, like a slumping hitter in an extra inning game. Sometimes lining a clean single to center in your last at-bat, occasionally knocking the ball out of the park when the home team dream came true, or when Mickey, Hank, Ted, Willie, or Stan the Man surfaced like a gold nugget in a desperate prospector's pan. And oh, the many uses. Trading, flipping, creating all-star lineups, rippling between bicycle spokes, lining the inside of baseball caps, memorizing stats like a sideshow magician, starting better-than arguments that sometimes ended in a fat lip, a bloody nose, or a dusty wrestle on the ball field dirt. Boys defending their heroes like Quixote defending Dulcinea. Maybe a cold Coke in the sweaty aftermath of a sudden skirmish. Along the way, the bums finally triumphed. Rosa refused to get up. Martin started a rally. Yogi's absurdities had a bigger influence than Beckett's, who never could hit the curve. And as the new decade dawned, Maz walked off. JFK walked on. Touch football briefly trumped the national pastime. And baseball cards began to disappear into shoe boxes and the dark closets of a whole generation whose attention soon turned to a different competition, in a place where there were no baseball cards, no peanuts and Cracker Jacks, where more was at stake than the outcome of ball games, played under the lights on hot, buggy nights, all over the chewing, spitting, scratching, hum now, water bucket country.